Hello everyone, I'm Luke Hector, and this is the Broken Meeple, the YouTube video channel, Season 2. Yes, indeed, I am back. It is Season 2 of the Broken Meeple YouTube channel. I've been away for so long, but I'll get into more detail about that later. This is basically almost like a trailer promo video, more an FAQ, whatever way you want to look at it, to explain more about who I am, what this blog is, what games do I like and dislike, where can you find me, and maybe a few running gags along the way. But basically, this video is to explain why and when and how and what and, well, just about all of them really. And hopefully you'll get some information out of it as well as maybe a little bit of insight. But this is essentially the first video I'm putting out for Season 2 to say I'm back and I'm here to stay. My name is Luke Hector. I'm a chartered tax accountant. And well, that's not exactly the most entertaining job in the world. Would it be better if I was a rock star or a spaceman? But that's what I am. I'm a full-time worker and I pretty much live a normal life just like everybody else. I'm from Portsmouth in the United Kingdom, so I'm far down south. But if you haven't gleaned from my accent already, I am from Somerset originally. So Taunton was my hometown and this accent is going to stick around like a sore thumb. So if you want to really get me into saying my accent really out loud, then just design a game where the words that come out are like farmer or cider or scrumpy or something to that effect, and you'll probably hear the R's come out on a regular basis. Why do I enjoy board games? Well, board games, I've always played them when I was a kid. I played them with the family, that was always the mainstream lot, but I have such fond memories of playing games with my elder brother. And we played things like Hero Quest and Battle Masters and Key to the Kingdom, a few of those old mainstream stuff. Board games though these days have really taken on a resurgence with me because when you get older, you want to be able to meet new people, you want to interact, you don't want to just stay stuck in a house all day. And board games have managed to do that for me. They've allowed me to expand myself, better myself, but also just meet new people and get to know everybody. There's so many board gamers out there and I wasn't even aware it was a huge big deal until I eventually got back into it. I believe it was about 3.5, we're getting on to 4 years ago when I started really playing board games again. And well, it's just been great ever since. I love the social interaction, why go to a movie or just have people just playing a PlayStation in silence when you could be playing a board game together and having a chat with each other. It's so much better that way. But of course, board games also allow you to test the brain cells a little bit and also generate a few laughs because there's party games, there's Euro games, there's Ameritrash games, there's small games, big games, whatever. There's so much out there and there's so much variety for me to see, and that's just several of the reasons why I think board games are amazing, and I'm sure if you're watching this video, then most of you will agree with me. When I first got back into board games, I was watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower were my first YouTube channel that I was ever watching, and I just kind of latched on to the way their camaraderie was really good and how they got me into board games by providing such useful information. Now, of course, other podcasters and reviewers are out there and they've all done a similar job for me as time has gone on, but they were the first ones that ever did. Now, I always like to share my opinion on something, whether it's good or bad. I don't know, it's just the way I am. I'm a little bit opinionated, but that doesn't mean it's my way or the highway. I respect everybody's opinion. It's just I really like to give mine. It's just me. That's just my personality trait. So what better way to do that than by blogging? By basically coming on video like this and going on podcasts and stuff like that, going to conventions and just talking about board games. It's been such fun. I've done it for what now? 4 years now? It's getting onto that bit and it feels so long ago. But it almost feels like yesterday as well. It's kind of hard to describe. When I started off, it was literally just written reviews, and now it's upgraded to a podcast. It's had a YouTube channel, season 1, which was fairly amateurish, but it was there. And now we're into season 2, and then I'm collaborating with other podcasters and meeting up with the Dice Tower conventions. It's just getting better and better, and I cannot wait to see how this expands into the future. In terms of games, it's generally a case that I really like thematic games. Now, that doesn't just mean the phrase Amerifrash. I can like Euros as well. In fact, I like a lot of Euros. You can probably see a few on my shelf behind me. And this isn't all my games. There's another section of the Kallax shelf there, and there's another 2 sections over there. But I like games with theme. I am a big sucker for theme. If you can get the theme right and it's an interesting one, chances are it's going to entice me more than some dry mechanical game that is pretty much just the mechanics and nothing else. It's not to say I don't like those games. Maybe there's 1 or 2 you can see on the shelf behind me that would fit that category, but it's got to work a lot harder in order to get me interested. Co-ops tend to be my favourite genre of all the different types. Co-ops are definitely my favourite because I think it's that teamwork aspect. There's no hard feelings among players. You're beating the game. So nobody has to feel like they're being left out, well, subject to alpha players, but nobody has to feel like they're not doing well or that they're getting punished for no reason, because everybody's working together. And that teamwork comes out in a lot of co-op games, and also co-op games are very good at getting the theme across. Even some of the games that I don't normally tend to like, if they're co-op, chances are I like them a lot more. But there will be several games that you might have noticed from top 10s and my top 100s in previous years. You can see just how far co-ops can rise up those ranks. Also with that, the level of interaction is a big deal. The more games that can come out with some very good player interaction where everybody's talking at each other or influencing what they do, the better. Because at the end of the day, you were there to play a game with other people. That's the whole point. If you literally just sat there like this and nothing else, what's the point? The social interaction should be there, not just in the camaraderie around the table, but also in the game you're playing. And again, there are exceptions to the rules, and I've even done a top 10 list on this very subject. But in the end, it tends to be social interaction, theme, and cooperation. They tend to be my favourite games. There are exceptions, as I said, and of course, I like other games as well, but you're going to pick my favourites. Chances are they fit into one of those 3 types. Everybody accepts that no game is ever perfect, and that rings true with everything in life really, but in board games certainly. There's a lot of games I love, but there's also games I don't like. And one thing you'll notice about me if you listen to my material is that I have no fear of giving my opinion if I think it's negative. And that doesn't necessarily mean the game is one that is hated by all. This could be a game that is loved by everybody, and I could be the only one who doesn't like it. I'll still say I don't like it. It's not a case of bringing it on, but it's just the way I am. I want to give the opinion, and I want to hear why you disagree or agree with it. Because it's not a case of, oh, my way or the highway, like I said. I want to hear your opinions as to why you agree or disagree. And as long as you're constructive with that, then fantastic. Obviously, don't be a troll, but anything else is great. Now, in terms of the games I dislike, they tend to feature in a few areas. 1, excessively long games. There's a limit to how long the game needs to be. And I do play some sort of 2.5 to 3 hour games every now and again. But when you start going to 3 hours and above, the game has got to be really good and really immersive to keep me engrossed that much longer afterwards. Because there will usually be a game somewhere that can give me the same kind of feeling but in a shorter space of time. And there are games out there that can take 4+ hours. There are some there that take 7 to 8. Why? Where does everybody get all this free time that they can play a game for 7 hours? I don't know. But, they don't tend to feature on my list, particularly lengthy Euro ones. And with that, dry Euros, as I mentioned before, if they're long, they've got to work hard to impress me. Now, not every Euro is thematic. There are some dry ones, and I'm pretty sure on my shelf somewhere behind me you'll see a dry Euro. But a dry Euro tends to be one that I don't tend to go for, with some exceptions. Dry Euros have to work on the mechanics and nothing else. Now, that's only so well and good now and again, because there are some designers who do nothing but dry Euros, like, for example, Stefan Feld and Martin Wallace, and I'm just not the biggest fan of their games for that reason. Most of them I tend to find quite dry, very mechanical, and the themes, if they are there, which most of the time they're not, just don't tend to grab me or just don't tend to wheel me in. Why yes, I work out 3 times a week at the gym. Thank you for asking. So, this YouTube channel in general, well, I used to do it before. I did quite a few episodes, but they were very amateurish. It was very basic camera, I was in an old flat, it was by a noisy road, there was no game room, it was just basically my kitchen, so you could hear things like the refrigerator and that going off. It just really wasn't a very good space for me to do videos. Now things have changed in my life. I've moved into a 3-bed new build house in a quieter part of the area. See? Nothing. No noise. Peace. With the occasional thing outside. But generally, it's a lot better to do the videos now. I've also got an upgraded camera. Okay, it's not the best camera ever, but it seems to be doing the job pretty nicely, and I'm learning more and more about photography and filmmaking in general just by working with the thing. In fact, I had to take a 1-day intensive course in photography just to learn the terminology that comes with cameras, like aperture and shutter speed and ISO and all that stuff. I barely knew anything about that before, and now I'm learning so much more than I did back then. So the YouTube channel as a whole, what's its purpose? Well, a lot of people prefer to watch videos, and for now my reviews have generally been in written form, and that's been enjoyable, and I will still do some articles in written form. But it's a lot easier to churn out videos, I believe. Once you get into that flow of how to edit them, I just find it's a little bit easier for me to churn them out than it is to spend ages writing a piece of like a couple of thousand words and then edit it, make sure it's spell checked and all that lot. And I think not enough people read those compared to videos, because videos I can use visual aids better than just still images. And so I'm hoping that that will work out a lot better. I also want to take a little bit of, shall we say, slack on the podcast. The podcast is kind of doing everything at the moment. It's doing top 10 lists, it's doing occasional reviews, talking about games, conventions, discussion topics, collaborations with other podcasters, and I just want to maybe get that a little bit more structured, and though the video channel can take over on the written front and do more reviews. But I also want to do more top 10 lists on video, because then I could actually show you the games. You know, I could say my number 10 in this list is, Catan, and I can just literally whip it off the shelf and say, there it is. I just think that visual aid is a lot more, better for other people. I also do a top 100 each year. I did a 75 in my first year, or was it the second, one of the two, and then I did a top 100 because I played more games. I felt 100 was the way to go, 75 was just a weird number, and now I want to do another top 100 every year. But I used to do that on the podcast, and that's 10 episodes on a podcast that you've got to kind of go, well, is it episode 22, 23, 24, and so on, or is it 22 part 1 to 10? I don't know. Now I can do it on video. I can do 10 separate videos all on my top 100, and I will be doing that this year, as I promised many, many times. I've promised a lot of things, and it's taken a long time, but I have, and that will happen this year as well. But I want to try other things as well. Like, you can see this blank space next to me. The reason I've done that at the moment is because I can put up images and videos in the middle of this video so that you can see, and obviously, if I was sitting over here, for example, you'd basically not have much room to do it, or I'd have to cover my face, which you can argue is probably a good thing. But I want to, leave that space. But in the future, I might even be able to have someone sitting next to me and talking as well. I know a few people from my clubs and from board game cafes and that would probably like to give their thoughts on games, and at least if I'm here, I reckon somebody could sit there. It'd be a little cozy, might have to give each other a hug or something, but, it would work. And then on top of that, I want to do like little vlogs and convention talks. Like the next video you see from this channel will be my official big video talking about the UK Games Expo 2017, and that will have video files and that. It'll have still images. It'll be quite a long video, I suspect. Maybe I'll do it in a couple of parts, but I want to do that kind of thing on video. I also want to get into maybe something other than board games now and again. Like, I watch a lot of movies. I love superhero movies. I love sci-fi and fantasy movies. Maybe I could actually start reviewing a few of those now and again. Pretty simple, more like vlog style. Nothing, no big effects or anything. We've got people like the Nostalgia Critic and Angry Joe to do that sort of thing. But just to give my thoughts on movies, because you might have seen me do it on my Facebook feed. It'd be a lot easier to do it on the video than it would be to type out an endless post on my newsfeed for everybody to see just for the sake of a movie. I've already mentioned this in a little bit of detail, so I won't go into too much here, but basically the Broken Meeple is broken into these various things. First, the blog page. This is where I put all my written reviews and feeds towards the podcast. The podcast is something that is now in its second season of operation, which is constantly changing. The microphones have been updated, the sound audio is improved, the musical cues are improved, and that is going along strongly as well. I'm also doing guest publications for other sites. You may have noticed some of my articles being referenced with Games Quest, with Chaos Cards, with Zatu Games recently, and I like to do that. I like to support other content creators. I like to support retailers and, give articles that might help people. And now, obviously, that does not mean that I'm constantly doing good reviews. As I said, one thing that I will pathologically stand by is that I review a game, I give my honest opinion, okay? If I don't like a game, I will still review it, and I will give it a bad opinion. That's going to happen. So I'm not going to review games in a bright light just so people can make sales. You're going to have to realize that now, publishers. I'm not going to be bought like that. But I do these guest publications, and obviously I want to review as many games as I can because I love just trying new games. But the guest publications, the written reviews, and the podcast is pretty much what else goes on the channel. Now YouTube is going to be another big feature, and it's been so long in the making. I'm sorry I've kept people waiting for so long for this to come out, but future's bright. I hope. I have 3 local board game clubs that I go to in the area. Now, the main one that I do is the one that I actually run, or co-run, shall we say, and that is Portsmouth on Board. Portsmouth on Board takes place at the Royal British Legion in the middle of Fratton in Portsmouth, and we operate on the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of every month. So there are some times where you get a 2-week break, sometimes a 3-week break, it depends on the calendar. But that is the main club. We run there, it's only £1 to support the venue. We've got a nice cheapish bar there with a fairly good selection, not the major alcohol types, but you can get a cup of tea, you can get your beer and cider, you can get your water and so on and so forth. And that one has a lot of members. We're growing as we speak. We use meetup.com currently as the main way to get people in, but I've also designed a Facebook page for that site, and if you're interested and you live in the Portsmouth area, I strongly urge you to either join our meetup group or preferably join our Facebook group, because that is where most of the conversations tend to happen, and get in touch. You're more than welcome to one of our Portsmouth on Board gaming nights, and I look forward to meeting you soon. There are 2 others that I also go to in a nearby area, Southampton and Petersfield on Board. Seriously, can game clubs come up with something better than just on board? That just seems to be a weird name to use. But I digress. You'll hear that word a lot in my videos and my podcast, okay? Get used to it. Southampton and Petersfield are 2 other game clubs I go to. They're both relatively small clubs. The Southampton one takes place in Board in the City, which is a sort of board game cafe that opened up in Southampton in the last, I'd say, year or so. Yeah, about a year and a bit ago. And that is where I go on Monday nights. It's on every week. I don't tend to go every Monday night. I need to live my life in other ways. But I do at least go to that one quite regularly, maybe once a fortnight. and it's an enjoyable club. There's a lot of great people, and I tend to get a lot more. There's some interesting variation in the games I play. Certainly some of the longer titles I tend to play at that one. Portsmouth on Board tends to be more of the shorter games, but it all varies. The Petersfield one is a very small club. It used to take place in the community centre in Petersfield, but now it takes place in, I believe it's called Winston Tea House. I'll put a photo up here, and so you'll be able to get the correct bit of me. But that one is a very small club. There's only about 10 to 15 of us. We meet up on the 2nd and 4th Thursday of each month, and that one is a very closely knit group. Now, of course, you're welcome to join. We're on meetup.com. I should mention, with Southampton, we're on Facebook. With this one, we're on meetup.com. So you'll be able to find us. You can join the wait list for a group because there's only so much room in the area. And this one tends to be more gateway level or short games. You know, very few people are playing really long, heavy games at the Petersfield group. It tends to be more of an introductory level style setting, which is great because sometimes I just want to unwind and play some easier games. But it's a very nice group. There's a lot of good people there, and just generally, Portsmouth, Southampton or Petersfield, whichever neck of the woods you're at, they're all really nice clubs. They're full of great people that I've met solely by just joining them and chatting to them and getting into board games, and I wouldn't have it any other way. By all means, you can come along to a convention and say hi to me or play games with me or anything. I try to go to as many conventions as I can, of course, money and time permitting, but there are some that certainly get my attention more than others. Firstly, we have the UK Games Expo, and as I said, the next video you see from me here will be about the UK Games Expo. But I go to this one every year now. I think I've been 3 or 4 years on the trot now. And it's great fun. I mean, we took over, I think, as the 3rd biggest in the world. It's expanding into the Birmingham NEC Centre more and more. And it's just, it is such a blast. You meet so many people there, and I recommend it to anybody. I also make regular visits to Aircon and HandyCon. These two are more like the gathering of friends style conventions where you just meet up and play games. They may occasionally have the odd exhibitor there, but mainly it's about just going there and playing games. Mark Cook runs Aircon, which takes place up in Harrogate in the International Centre in Harrogate, and that one takes place, it used to be twice a year, now I believe it's just going to be every March, and they've been great, it's been expanding, and it's certainly a fun one to check out, and despite the lengthy travel I have to do in order to get there, I still try to get there every year. HandyCon is a new one started by another friend of mine called Paul Harris. Some of you might recognise him as the current designer of a game called Scrumpy, but he started this convention in High Wycombe in Holiday Inn, and he only started it in January of this year, actually. No, January this year? Yeah, January of this year. And it was a great success. We all went there, we had a good time, he's a great bloke, and we're having another convention for HandyCon in August of this year, and probably another one in January of next year, so it might be a twice a year thing. We'll see how it goes, but so far it's been great and I've really enjoyed my time there. On top of that, well, I wouldn't be much of a big gaming enthusiast if I wasn't found at Essen Spiel Fair every now and again. This one I've been to, I believe, twice, maybe 3 times. It's an expensive one to get to, but if you want to really be at the centre of board games, well, look no further than the mecca of board games, which is, of course, in Essen. This one is a huge convention, and usually I go there with the intention of helping out a publisher or a designer or the Dice Tower with their booth, because A, it helps to pay for some of the expense, but B, it also uses up some of my time because there's only so much time I need to spend going around the entire convention doing stuff. And it's been great fun. It literally blew my mind with excitement the first time I went there, because when you go from a small convention up into that huge one, it's literally like sort of going, oh, this nice little cherry, and then eating this whopping great big pumpkin. You know, the size difference is just insane, and it can be overwhelming. But I try to go to Essen, and I will be there this year as well. Essen 2017, I will be helping out Grublin Games Publishing with their booth for most of the time, and probably the Dice Tower other bits, but I will certainly get round to playing games and hopefully speak to you at the same time. And then finally, there's a few ad hoc ones that I do go to every now and again, such as StabCon South. This is a small convention, again, a sort of gathering of friends. You literally just turn up and play games, and there's one retailer there, Board Game Extras, and occasionally board game cafes will set up some teaching sessions as well. This one's a very good one. It takes place in Southampton twice a year, once in April, once in October. It's run by a friend of mine called Tom Windrow, and he, nice bloke. Nice people that go there. A lot of people I know from the Southampton and Portsmouth gaming clubs go there. And it's just a very nice, cheap, friendly little convention. It's worth going to if you get a chance. As for other conventions, they are very much more on the fly. I've been to various ones like SawCon, Manacon and MidCon. Now, whether I don't go to them every year because time, price, money, it all gets in the way. Life, hey? What can you do? I have a Patreon campaign that's running, which if you can provide any support for this channel, it will be greatly appreciated. If you go to patreon.com and search for The Broken Meeple, you'll find it. It's in its early stages, but as this channel, this YouTube channel especially, grows and improves, then more content will go there. And obviously, I want to get the people on the Patreon campaign involved more in what I do for future videos. And of course, I need more than just a few patrons to really do that. But I want to get people to choose what top 10 lists I do. I want people to, give their choices as to what their #1 games in particular are. And then I can give shout outs. I want to do all sorts of things. But anything, even if it's just $1 a month, if 100 people gave $1 a month, that's $100. That goes a long way to allowing me to buy better equipment, because the stuff I'm using is still, not the highest tech in the world, and I could do with learning more and getting better equipment for, having multiple people on and that sort of thing. And Patreon campaign money goes towards that. It helps me to improve this channel more and more. And maybe in the future, if enough people were to subscribe, I could start looking into improving the website as well. I've used the Blogger platform for a long time and it's worked quite well. But, it'd be great if I had the spare cash to be able to design a proper website. Not me, of course, I'd get someone decent to do it. But, that sort of thing can happen. So if you are able to support in any way, shape or form, then the Patreon campaign is a great way to do that. But of course, if you haven't got the money to spare, that's fine. I would just love you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'd love you to like my Facebook page and add me on Twitter, and just generally engage with me on social media when I post up reviews or when I, just talk in general. I'm a member of several Facebook groups, the board game group, the UK trading and board game chat group, and also, the odd extra one now and again. Oh yeah, solo board gamers, can't forget them. And I do enjoy chatting on social media with lots of other gamers who have, similar but also contrasting opinions to my own. So even if you can't support me with the Patreon campaign, just subscribe and like and chat to me on social media at conventions, because that is pretty much all the support I need. It just feels, there's a buzz that you can get just by chatting with all these new people that are as enthusiastic about a hobby as you. So any support you can give is greatly, greatly appreciated. You're welcome. Well, it's time to get on with other videos. The Broken Meeple is back for Season 2 of their YouTube channel. Look forward to reviews, look forward to top 10 lists, a top 100, but of course my next video that I better get a move on is the UK Games Expo 2017 post-convention chat. I will certainly have to come up with a much better name than that when I actually do the video. So that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this little trailer promo FAQ. That gives you a bit more insight into who I am and what I like to do with board games. So I hope you have a fantastic day, and remember, it's only a game.